you remember when you and Trent Horn tried to convince me why reading comic books was cool?
Nope.
Okay, we were on a Catholic Answers.
It worked though, didn't it?
It did for a bit, yeah. Yeah. We were on a Catholic Answers staff retreat that none of us wanted to go to.
Yep, I remember those.
You remember that? We remember. And we were sitting around and I had never read really a comic book before. And you were I think you and Trent were telling me that it was like Greek gods, like modern Greek gods, and it's one way to think of it. And it worked for a while. I really enjoyed it. I have to say, I think the Marvel franchise kind of has burnt me out a little bit. And I also find that when I try to go to a new comic book, I find either woke stuff in it, which is exhausting.
Yeah.
Or I find just flat out, if it's not like the basic DC Marvel, some really immoral content. It's even pornographic content. I'm like, what the heck?
That has been done, but one of the good things about comic books is there's a huge history. And going back, basically 80 years at this point in superhero comics.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of good stuff. There's a lot of great stories out there. Some of them are public domain. Others are available electronically. And there's always something you can find that's good to read, even if there are more modern problems.
Okay, somebody wants to get into comic books. What's your recommendation for a graphic novel?
Oh, a graphic novel.
That you would say, get this one. This is a good one to start with. You got me one for my 30th birthday. I don't know if you remember this. It was...
I remember you had a birthday party that was superhero themed, and your wife borrowed all of my superhero T-shirts for the guests to wear.
That was a really fun night. Thank you for doing that. Yeah, gosh, I forget what it was. It was like the Bronze Age of superheroes or something to that effect.
Yeah, well, that may have been a collection rather than a graphic novel.
I thought that's what a graphic novel essentially was, a series.
No, a graphic novel is typically one connected story.
Yeah.
And it may not have been published as individual issues before.
Oh, I see.
That's different than, okay, here's this span of issues, either 6 of them or 12 of them, that we're now going to reprint together.
Okay.
One classic graphic novel, and it's not a Christian perspective, but one of the classics is Watchmen.
Yeah, everyone tells me that's great.
And it has some challenging material in it. Another classic is the original Dark Knight graphic novel, which was actually originally the original Dark Knight. It's also got some challenging material in it. It's not nearly as bad as Dark Knight 2 and Dark Knight 3, though, which were also by Frank Miller.
Challenging content, what do you mean? Just immoral content that you got to wade through? Or?
Yeah, I mean, it's something that's not appropriate for children.
Right.
I mean, it's different than pornographic.
Right.
But there will be, like, one of the characters in the original Dark Knight graphic novel, which was originally 4 separate issues that then got put together, there's a character based on Dr. Ruth Westheimer. I don't know if you remember her, but she was a sexologist in the 1990s. She was very popular. She would give young people advice about how to have positive, healthy sex without marriage. And she was very popular. She's this little old woman with a German accent. And she would go on late night television and talk to, Johnny Carson or David Letterman or whoever about it. And there's a character in the original Dark Knight graphic novel that's based on her, where I don't think they call her Dr. Ruth, but that's what she was called in real life. But she goes on a late night talk show and is talking about Zex and how wonderful Zex is. Well, we never see anyone having Zex, but she talks about it in this libertine sort of way. And then the Joker kisses her and poisons her to death.
That'll teach you.
Yeah. So she kind of gets her comeuppance, but there is like this character there. So it's not material that's appropriate for a small child, but it's also not pornography.
Yeah. Watchmen, was that made into a movie?
Yes.
Is it worth watching?
I don't know. I've never watched the movie. No. Yeah, I've heard it's not great as a movie. Yeah.
Hey, thank you so much for watching. Before you go, do us a favor, leave a comment, let us know what you thought of the video, like, and subscribe.